Hey everyone, it's Ian Heller with Distribution Strategy Group. Delighted today to host a discussion with Tracy Belo at Zorro on maximizing sales through online marketplaces. Online marketplaces continue to grow share. I mean, they're not as front and center in the news as they used to be, but they're growing just as fast in many cases. So it's really important for distributors to understand online marketplaces, understand the opportunities that they have through marketplaces. And today, Tracy and I will talk about how you can engage with Zorro, what Zorro does, how you can grow your business with Zorro, who's a good fit with Zorro, et cetera. But before we do that, I got to do just a little business. So bear with me as I talk first about our upcoming event, Applied AI for Distributors, June 24th through 26th in Chicago. I mean, look, there's exactly one major live event on artificial intelligence for the distribution industry in the United States. It's this one. So you really got to go. And if you're not going to go, you need to send someone because we have about 30 now AI enabled distribution technology companies. I know it says 25 on the screen. We're about 30 now. They're going to be demoing how they can apply AI in their technologies to help you build a better distribution company. And that ranges from marketing automation and CRM to collecting rebates to managing returns better, to running your warehouse better, to doing better analytics. I mean, it's across the board. And distributors who do that are going to have clear advantages over distributors who don't. We're also going to spend quite a bit of time at the conference talking about how to combine human intelligence and artificial intelligence to build a competitive edge. We got some incredible keynoters. Noel Russell was just named the #1 global thought leader on agentic AI. And if you thought LLMs were big, wait till you hear about agentic. Trent Gillespie, who was former Amazon head of, I think, global initiatives, was his title there. Now he's the CEO of Stellus AI. Don Sarno is the Senior VP of Digital Enterprise for the world's largest electrical distributor, Sonepar. We've got Janet Zelenka, who I've been on a board with her. She's a genius. And she's moderating a panel that includes Paul Kennedy at DSG Supply, Tracy Dool, Dina Stanton, and Jamie Hurd about combining human and artificial intelligence and a bunch more. And the networking is going to be amazing. You really don't want to miss this conference. You can't afford to get behind on this technology. Here's your 2-day immersion to help you keep up. Okay, now I'd like to bring in Tracy Belo, who's a friend of the firm. Tracy, you've been with us several times before. Thanks so much for joining us today. And how are you, my friend?
I am great. Thanks so much for having me. I love doing these with you.
Yeah, it's fun. It's always fun. So, look, we'll get into the Zorro value proposition in a minute, but you've been there for a while now. You've had some great career progression. Tell us a little bit about your career, and then end with what your responsibilities are today at Zorro.
Sure, absolutely. So, I have about 30 years of sales and marketing experience over my career. So, worked in companies in the staffing industry early on, both kind of traditional Manpower, if everybody knows Manpower, but also some staffing technology firms, doing sort of marketing and sales related roles there. And then moved into more traditional consumer brands. I worked for Kimberly Clark, worked on Kleenex. I'll forever be a Kleenex loyalist after all of my time there. Did traditional brand marketing for years and then moved into the sales organization there and sold all of our brands to a variety of types of customers. I had grocery customers for a period of time, and then I had what was called specialty customers. So everybody who buys paper products, but paper products aren't their core business. So think home hardware stores
Sure.
and office stores, things like that. So I had that and had kind of a unique role to figure out the right strategy for our brands in those channels. That then led me to Zorro in 2019, and I started basically leading business development for Zorro. At the time, we didn't have a business development function, but we knew we needed to accelerate growth in our assortment. And our category managers at the time were doing that prospecting. But if we wanted to accelerate at the pace that we thought we should, we needed a dedicated team out there focused on just bringing in new supplier partners. And so I created that function, created the team. We were out, I think we probably had maybe 2.5 million items, maybe even a little less. We stand here today with almost 15 million, with
Wow.
a lot of the work from business development. And then a couple years ago, I moved into this role as VP of Category Management, which basically means I have the business development team who's going out and prospecting those partners, but then we have an entire category management team who manages those relationships and our full assortment day to day, and then an operations team that's helping with everything there. So I have a responsibility for that full team and all of those supplier partners that we work with.
Yeah, and you guys are doing really well. I mean, I saw the first quarter earnings announcement,
Yes.
and and without it doesn't break out Zorro exactly, but you're in the group that's really driving all this growth. So obviously, you're seeing a lot of success. So I do want to tell the audience, if you have questions, please use the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. I'll be happy to run them by Tracy, or Tracy, you can take them directly. So give us the thumbnail overview of what Zorro does. I think most people are familiar with it, but it's not the same. It's not exactly what people
Right.
often assume either. So tell us,
Sure.
sort of what you do for a living and how it's different than what they may see from other online marketplaces they're familiar with.
Sure. Absolutely. So we're a B2B e-commerce site. We definitely are focused on B2B specifically, but we're an endless assortment model. So we have millions and millions, I already mentioned, products on our site, ranging from tools to safety equipment, but even office supplies, cleaning products, everything we believe a business needs to run their business day to day. But what makes us unique, I think, is the supplier relationships that we have and the way that we bring those products to our customers. So we work with suppliers, we partner with a broad network, both distributors and manufacturers, depending on their capabilities. And they fulfill orders directly to our customers in those instances. And that allowed us, obviously, to scale very fast in terms of our offering and offer a one-stop shop to our customers for any type of product that they need. But we also focus on a very consumer-like experience on our website. Obviously, B2B buyers have their unique things that they need as well that we're working on to add capabilities. But when it comes down to it, they want the products that they need with good information to validate it's the right thing. They want competitive pricing and they want it there quickly and reliably. And so fundamentally, that's where we focus all of our energy, is ensuring those businesses get those products that they need. And I mentioned earlier, we do kind of focus on small business in particular because we know those folks might be, you know, folks that are doing the work day to day and they're out in the field and they're getting the job done and then they're coming back at the end of the day and I got to order some products for my business. And so they want a very convenient experience for them to go online and get those products they need.
Yeah, and so for distributors who sell through your platform, a lot of times you're giving them the opportunity to reach just customers who are geographically different, size-wise they're different,
Yes.
or segment-wise they're different, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we consider ourselves kind of the connector in
Mhm.
between, right? There's a very fragmented small business market that's out there, and there's a very fragmented supplier base and distributor partners that are out there. And most folks focus on their core business, their core customers, providing the services to those core customers. But there are customers all around the country that may need products that they
Yeah.
sell. And so what we're trying to do is offer those products, kind of gather those folks that want to buy those items and serving them up to our partners to fulfill, which helps them kind of generate some scale and leverage on their broader offerings. So they can basically reach more around the nation than they might have in their kind of core business where they're located today. What it also allows them to do is just focus on their core, then put more of their attention there, doing well in those areas while gaining this business on the side.
And how do you do the assortment planning, or how do you evaluate which categories or SKUs where you should either fill in with more SKUs within a
Sure.
category or add more categories?
Yeah, so I mentioned, we're an endless assortment model. So our starting point is we want everything they could possibly need. And so where we start with is, who are our core customers? What kind of industries do they work in? What do they need to run their business? And really us thinking about, do we have all of the types of things for our customers that they may need day to day? And we start there in each of our categories and make sure that we're filling out that assortment. The other thing we often do at a category level is understand the market. right? You have to understand who the big players are in the market, what the products are out there, who's leading the charge, where's the market demand, and kind of back into it from there and say, do we have those brands that are big in the market that everybody wants? If no, let's go get them. Or if we do, are we competitive? Are we getting them from a good source? Are we giving the right performance from fulfillment and those things? But we basically kind of fill in based on understanding where market demand is. We obviously have core customers that are very traditional, MRO space makes a lot of sense. We have a lot of
Sure.
assortment there, but we know there are a lot of customers who need things in office supplies and computer and electronics. Automotive has been an area that's been a great growth for us because many businesses have fleet vehicles that they're managing and needing to just keep maintained. And so we try and think as broadly as possible about where we're adding to our assortment, just ensuring we have the key brands in the market that everybody's looking for.
Sure. Okay, good. Good. That makes sense. And we have a question already. This is from a friend of the company, RP. You know RP, I think.
Mhm.
How do you help support your product partners and expose their products to the market? Is it through SEO or any other targeted support?
Yeah, so we do a lot of focus on digital marketing and customer acquisition. That is something we've been very strong at for years. It's been a part of our growth. And so our mantra is be where the customers are. So if a customer is out on Google searching or out on Bing searching or out in the marketplace, we want to be there, meeting them
Yeah.
where they are, serving up the opportunity to buy on Zorro. And so that gives them the opportunity to purchase the product. They can see those brands if it meets whatever their search criteria is. Then once they start buying from Zorro, then we re-engage them through marketing
Yeah.
in various different ways, expose them to different products that we carry in our assortment. So they might come in for that one repair item that got them to come to us in the first place, but certainly they need office
Yeah.
supplies, cleaning products, other categories. And so our job is to continue to expose them to more parts of the assortment. Now, what's important is we're also trying to make it relevant. We don't want to show them a bunch of stuff that we don't
Yeah.
think they need,
Sure.
but we understand most customers need very similar items just to run the day to day. And then they also need items that are specific to their business and the industry they play in. And the more we can learn about that, the more we can serve up brands and products that fit those customers. So, from a supplier to the question, as long as it's relevant to the customers, we're always trying to expose them to new brands and products that we have.
Yeah, and RP follows up with, I really like the emails I get from Zorro and how it shows up in my social and other feeds. Nice job.
Thank you.
So is I don't know how this might work, but as you were talking about, being in Google, is any of this search spilling over into LLMs yet? I mean, and I don't even know how you buy or if you can buy SEO and LLMs, but is anybody searching for product solutions? Or I mean, I've gone into ChatGPT and asked it how to do something, and
Sure.
it's not that's not really what it's for yet. But do you think these LLMs are gonna take on some of that role at some point in time?
Yeah, I mean, I do think just thinking about the whole job is always
Yeah.
something that everybody talks about, right? How do you think about all the products that might be needed for a given job or for a given function within a company, right? If I'm an
Yeah.
office manager, there are certain things I'm looking for. If I'm a facilities maintenance person, there are certain things that I'm looking for and trying to tie all those pieces together. Certainly, anytime you can use AI to help you generate that information or those connection points so that you can create product relationships that serve up, related items, that's where
Sure.
we're going to get the benefit. So we see it more on the back end of what do customers typically buy together? What kind of information can we infer and gather and then serve it up? And then we constantly test it to see if it's actually people are buying then on the things that we're serving up to them.
Got it. Okay. All right. Now, Tracy, I know you're different than some other marketplaces in that when you serve up a product solution, you don't serve it up from multiple suppliers, and
That's right.
you show, hey, here's what you're looking for, and then you choose who to send the order to, right? Can you go
Correct.
into a little bit about how that works?
Sure. Yeah. So we basically own the customer experience is the way
Hmm.
we define it. We try and keep it as simple as possible for the customer, not overwhelming them with too much choice, too much information, even on a single item. We actually know most people come in searching on a product part number.
Mhm.
And so we want to get them there quickly if that's what they're actually looking for. But when they come to a product page, the focus is on the brand, the item attributes, the price, the shipping. They don't see anything as far as who the order is actually going to from a supplier perspective. And then we route it on the back end based on the best possible customer experience. So certainly whoever's closest to the order
Yeah.
could get the order, those kinds of things. Um, but it creates a much cleaner experience for customers to not have to see all of the different suppliers and options and price points. We manage all of that directly, which also, quite frankly, helps the partner because now they're not having to manage pricing, marketing, all of those things that they have to stay on top of. It also, some folks would say, eliminates the direct competition right on the
Yeah.
site. So if you're on a marketplace that's more open, you're directly competing with other suppliers to get that order on the page. We're saying customers don't want to see that. They just want to go and make sure it's the right item and it's at a good value and it's going to get to me when I need it. And we'll worry about how and who gets it to you behind the scenes.
And how do you make sure they get it when, I mean, how do you make a commitment on a delivery timeline? And then how do you make sure that happens?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things there. Obviously, our supplier partners have to deliver on the expectations and the promise that they give us. So when we start working with a partner, we work with them on a per item basis. What's your lead time or expected ship time? That allows us to have items that ship same day. That allows us to have maybe more custom items in there that take a little bit longer, right? And it allows us to put a good promise out there. And so that's kind of the starting point is making sure that we understand and have clear expectations with our partners on that fulfillment experience at the item level. Then what happens is on an ongoing basis, they're actually giving us inventory feeds, telling us the in-stock status so that we can update the website with communication. So we don't want it to be out of stock, a customer to order it and have a poor experience. We'd rather say it's out of stock, allow them to come back at a later time or go to a different item, and then it's a better experience. We don't have canceled orders, all that stuff behind the scenes. But we use a lot of data then to estimate what the messaging is on the site around delivery expectations. So we're continuing to grow that portion of our assortment that has delivery messaging now, and it takes into account what the suppliers told us their lead time was, how they've been performing to
Hmm.
date, takes into account data from our carriers of what's actually happening, distance from the supplier location to the customer, that distributor or fulfillment location takes all of that into account to provide the best possible information. And then with our partners, post order, we're doing customer satisfaction surveys to understand how it's going, and we use that data to communicate with partners about how it's going. We also have a series of metrics that they're required to fulfill according to those, and we have regular meetings with them and have a scorecard that we go through to say, you're meeting all of these expectations, or you're good here, you're not as good over here, and kind of work with them on areas of opportunity. It's kind of funny. We've had a few instances where the supplier will say, well, I ship same day all the time, 100% of the time. And then you kind of show them data, and it actually helps them see some
Right.
pockets in their own
Sure.
supply chain that helps them understand. And it's a big benefit to them, right? To see that data to say, okay, we must have something going on over here. Or maybe it's the speed at which we're seeing the order come in and how fast are we getting it out to pick. It illuminates a lot of really interesting things and
I
helps
bet.
both of us get better.
Yeah, and so okay, so let's say I go on. I say I'm in the Denver area, and I go online and I onto Zorro, and I order an industrial fan, and it's a brand that is sold across a number of your suppliers.
Mhm.
So you're going to look at, hey, the suppliers who are in Denver or close by are going to be a more obvious selection than someone who's located in Atlanta or LA, right? Then you're
Yeah,
going to
for
look.
sure.
Then you're going to look at
Supplier location and supplier performance, right? So if we're
right.
seeing very strong results and you're doing well, fulfilling as expected, then we can trust that it's going to get there as expected.
a-
All those things
and
are,
carrier performance too, right?
yes, yes,
So
absolutely.
got it. So this is the advantage of having these multiple suppliers is you can as the data and experience changes over time, you can do a better job selecting the best supplier for that particular transaction.
Absolutely. But we also like to say, if you're performing as a partner, that will generate a lot more opportunities for you
Right.
to receive orders. So the best thing you can do is continue to perform at a very solid level in a way that customers are expecting, and that will generate a lot more opportunities.
Would you say the distributors that start doing business with you tend to improve operationally over time as a result of getting
Mhm.
this feedback?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, e-commerce is a very digital space,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Everything has to be digitally transformed. I know we use transformation a lot in the digital
Sure.
space, but it's required in order to partner, right? If you want to list an item online, it has to be in a digital form to come over to us to actually put on a site. You have to be able to transmit orders and order acknowledgments and shipping information electronically because we're expected to communicate at pace to our customers all along the way. And so if we're doing all of that manually, you can't do that effectively for your customer. And so what we've learned is that the partners kind of start out and some of them are doing this as a way to really grow in e-commerce, and that's okay. They're starting out learning, but those who want to invest and really get aggressive about transforming their digital capabilities tend to accelerate the success, right? And the newest part of all of it is inventory feeds and geolocated inventory and all of that, where if they have that capability, it just makes all of this way more seamless and allows them to grow. The other thing it does is gives them more leverage with their supply partners or their manufacturers. The more volume they're turning,
Sure.
because of all this added volume, gives them a lot more buying power with their partners as well. And it's on the front end a lot less work for them if we're doing all the marketing and all of the merchandising of the products and they're kind of keeping up with their core fulfillment responsibilities.
Yeah, and they're probably reaching a market that they don't normally have
Right.
access to through Zorro. But the learnings and the improvements that they get from doing business with you, they can then go apply to their own markets.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And most of our partners have their own websites and things too to serve their customers so they can apply a lot of that digital work that they're doing to capabilities with their own customers. Absolutely.
Yeah, and RP is posting again with an apology for posting so much. But I got to tell you, RP, we love when
Okay.
you weigh in. RP does not work for Zorro, just to be clear. And it says you do an incredible job onboarding suppliers who may not have all the components in place, and you give them the knowledge and partnerships to become e-commerce literate, and you guide them every step of the way. So that's a nice glowing endorsement. Good, thank you,
Yes.
RP. I know you guys don't centralize procurement. You don't own your own distribution centers, right? It all is coming from third
No,
parties.
from various partners. So we
Yeah,
certainly
right.
have access to a wide distribution network from our parent company, but we have also the wide, drop ship network of all of our supplier partners. So we definitely have to have very strong information and product data and communication channels to understand how that distribution network is operating.
So when someone reaches out to you and says, "Hey, we want to sell through your platform," uh, you're going to give them what questions and assessment. What should they be ready? What kind of questions should be and data should they be ready to answer and provide?
Yeah, sure. So I tend to kind of frame it up in a few key areas. The first is, do you have digital product information that you're able
Mm,
to send over to us? And does it have all of the necessary elements to transact? But certainly, if it has much more enhanced content, it increases the ability for us to surface it in more channels. It's also a better experience for customers the more attributes you have to validate it's the right item. So, product information digital format, very, very important. Another piece is integration in an EDI space, right? So we want to be able to transmit orders effectively. When we send you an order, we expect you to acknowledge. Once you ship it, you notify us so we can notify the customer, and then invoicing and all that flows. And if we're all doing our job really, really well, having that automated electronically is much better than any sort of manual process. So you have to be able to integrate in some way with us. And then it's all the fundamentals around, we've got to have a competitive price or cost from our
Sure.
partner in order to sell in the market. But we're not designed to be the lowest. That's not what we're chasing. We just want to be competitive. And then we work with our partners on all these elements to make sure that they're set up for success. If we're not selling, it might be one of those things, or all of those things I just mentioned are not optimized. And then we need to work with the partners to make sure that they're continuously updating, whether it's more content, better cost, whatever, better lead time sometimes. One of the interesting things we've learned over time is they give us a lead time and then they might actually perform better than that,
Mm.
which then we kind of work with them to say, can we update our promise online, because that will help you get more
Right.
orders, that will help us. And so we are constantly collaborating with our partners to find ways for benefiting both of us by driving better conversion.
Okay. And I know that some distributors see marketplaces as a threat. I mean, it's just sort of a natural reaction, right? I mean, I have a website and I sell this stuff. I go on Zorro and you guys are selling the same stuff. How do you handle that kind of objection when you're talking to prospective distributor supplier partners?
Sure. I would come back to a little bit of what we were discussing before, which is we view ourselves as a complement to their business. We are going after a market that they are very likely not putting a lot of time and energy into. It
Yeah.
takes a lot of resource to market to a very fragmented marketplace that's out there. These small businesses, maybe they don't have salespeople calling on those folks, or they're not using their marketing dollars there. And so what we're there is telling them we're an incremental portion of their business, an incremental channel to them for a specific market. And we're just trying to capture those additional sales for them and not trying to step into the space that they're very good at. I often say to them, you're very good at your business, your core customers, your core services. Keep doing that and doing that well. What we're talking about here are simple and seamless transactions that you don't need to spend a bunch of energy and you can still get the benefit from that by working with us. We also recognize that in certain industries, maybe we're technically competing with them online. If someone's looking for electrical, we have electrical, they have electrical. But
Yeah.
in reality, what we're seeing in our world is a plumber might actually be buying electrical, right,
Sure.
for some things they're doing, and we're able to serve that, whereas they might not even be targeting that kind of customer type because it's not their traditional customer. So
Yeah.
very kind of incremental to their world as a channel.
Yeah. I think, it's a huge market out there, right? And one of the things I've learned over the years, because I've been a marketing leader for big publicly held distributors, is people don't really know what you carry. Your customers don't really know what you
Mhm.
carry, and then there are all kinds of companies that have never heard of you, and you
Sure.
you you think the awareness of your brand is bigger than it is, but when you start talking about people who are in a non-targeted segment in a different city that you don't normally serve, or they're not being called on by your sales reps, those customers don't know about you, and the likelihood that they're going to look at your website for a product is minuscule. So, okay,
Right.
so we have a anonymous question here. Let's see here. My company is also B2B with multiple categories and sources. We
Mm.
have an e-commerce platform, but many of our customers have become dependent on contacting us through email. We're trying to increase our online sales by quoting from our site, but our staff is hesitant to do this, so our online sales are low. This is long, sorry. I'm trying to convince our e-commerce platform to increase the number of sources where the data can be hosted, but they have been hesitant. I think there's a question here somewhere. I I think our customers and our staff may engage more if we make it easier for them to get to all of our sources, I guess, products online. I'm How can I convince our e-commerce platform to increase these sources? Um, I'm not sure. Can you see this question, Tracy?
I can see it.
I'm
There's a
not.
lot there.
Yeah,
Um,
many of my sources are willing, and I've shared the integration ability, but my e-commerce platform is hesitant. I guess, how do you encourage customers who are reluctant to buy online? Is what I'm reading into this. And I don't know if you guys even do that. I mean, are your customers are inherently willing to buy online, or they wouldn't be on
right.
Zoro, right?
Right. They find us that way automatically. And I think it comes back to the types of purchases that are pretty common. I think we all, having lived through COVID also, everybody is buying a variety of topics online or products online that maybe they never bought online
Yeah.
before because they just started to get comfortable on it. And so it's just continuing to serve it up, giving them good experiences. They'll come back and buy again.
And I know that one of the differentiating characteristics between Zorro and some other platforms, which I shall not name, is you don't have your own products that you pull from. So you're not in a position to evaluate what third parties are selling and then take that product direct, which has been a major, major accusation for some of your competitors, right?
Sure.
Um,
Right.
and you're just never going to do that because you don't have product managers who are negotiating directly with manufacturers and bringing them into your own distribution centers. Um, that feels to me like that inherently fosters trust because
Sure.
people know you're not mis- misusing their data. Do you have people who come to you because they've been frustrated that that's happened to them on other platforms?
Sure. I mean, through the conversations when we're prospecting and talking to folks or they're coming to us, they'll voice concern areas that they see in other areas. And so we focus on where we prefer to collaborate, where we're focused, who our customer base is, what we prioritize. I used to talk a lot about how the brand is central, right?
Yeah,
That's what's most important to the customer is I'm going and looking for this item or this brand,
yeah,
and that's the item I need, and that's all that matters to them is that you have that item. And quite frankly, in the market, there are all of these wonderful brands who are investing heavily in talking about their brands, driving awareness, putting a lot into product quality and all of that. And we're just trying to serve up the opportunity to buy those. And so we believe that the big brands are what drive those categories and
yeah.
drive the attention to those categories. And we want to make sure that we focus on those. And then that generates the opportunity for everybody, right, to have a variety of offerings in that space. But we're anchored on those big brands because that's how customers are looking for product.
Okay. And Robin has a question. How does customer support work in terms of technical expertise and other issues, like if there's a shortage in shipping or something like that?
Sure. So fundamentally, they are focused on probably mostly the order experience, right?
Yeah.
Who is the customer? What did they order? What's the status of that order? What's the supplier who is providing it and kind of communicating appropriately on the status of that? We spend a lot of time just kind of helping customers who would rather do that over the phone. They have communication channels direct to suppliers where needed to get help with orders. If something's delayed for a strange reason or whatever, they can reach out. We typically don't go super heavy on technical expertise, but over time, reps can gain a lot of information and knowledge because they're out there looking at products and helping customers. But it's very much dependent on the level of information our partners provide about the products and being able to navigate that on our site and be able to talk
Yeah.
intelligently. If we needed to, we can reach out to supplier partners to gather information that is more technical, but we don't tend to put ourselves in a very technical service type of space.
Right.
We tend to stay more customer focused. That's more of our inquiries, anyways, is all of kind of the day to day. Either help me place the order or help me track the status of my order and like what are the things in between that they may need from us.
Yeah. And the better the product data the supplier
Right.
provides, then the
That's right.
more people can get their questions answered before they place the order.
That's
Charles wants to know what kind of incremental growth your supplier partners see when they begin working with you over time? Maybe a better way to cast that question is there a way they can work with you when they're evaluating the relationship to help them estimate what that growth might be over
Yes.
time?
Yeah, absolutely. So every partner that we're working with, we kind of take a look at the category of products that they represent. We help them understand, well, how we're doing in those categories. Is that a growing category for us that's generating? We look at similar size and types of partners that could be a proxy for how they might do. Certainly the types of brands they carry, the
Sure.
scale of the offering, that also creates a lot of opportunity. And then we kind of work with them to estimate what we think could be realistic.
Okay.
Again, it's very dependent on performance and the
Right.
ability to provide good information, but we've seen partners who definitely generate a lot of sales if they're putting in the effort on those core capabilities. They can really expand their growth that way.
Yeah. So, Charles, the answer to your question is that when you work with Zorro to consider a relationship, you, you're going to work on trying to estimate what the sales potential is, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And how do you communicate with all those suppliers? I mean, you have how many millions of SKUs? Do you reveal the number of SKUs that you carry, or
Almost 15 million.
almost 15 million? Okay, so
Yep.
that's many different suppliers.
Yes.
How do you communicate with them and manage a diverse supply base like that?
So, I mean, obviously, as much as we can create consistency and automate, we try and do that because at the kind of scale we're operating, we can't have a phone call every day with every supplier.
Sure.
So we're trying to keep it very simple for everyone. We provide resources online that allow them to understand our process and even submit things that they need. If all of a sudden they have an item that's discontinued, they need to notify us that, and we try and automate that process for them where they can submit it and it doesn't require a human to be a part of that process. And then we have a series of what I would call kind of larger, more strategic suppliers in every category that we might have a more extensive regular business review discussion with
Mhm.
them, help them understand how the category is doing, how they're doing. It's very important for us to hear from them as well on what do they see in the category? Are we selling items through Zorro that are different than what they see in rest of market? And how can we grow in both directions? You know, how can they sell more of those items in rest of market? How can we sell more of the items they're selling a lot of? And it uncovers those things that I mentioned before. It might be we've got some poor images or some bad product information over here that we could just spruce up, and all of a sudden we're back to where they are in rest of market. But very collaborative discussions with them, talking about growth plans year over year. What do they have coming? Maybe there's new items coming in, new versions that we want to stay on top of, but we can't possibly do that with them all. So we try and,
Sure.
look for the ones that we can automate, we'll automate as much as we can, and then we'll have those more strategic conversations.
And where do you think the marketplaces are going over the next few years? What are some trends you're seeing?
Oh boy. Well, everybody keeps talking about personalization. That's
Sure.
obviously a big one. Everyone's trying to figure out how do you at least know something about the customer when they're coming to the site, even if they've never bought before. Try and use cues and data as much as you can to serve up that information. And then as they engage with you more and more, keep reusing that data to personalize that experience. Obviously, if they log in, that's the best because you know as much as you possibly can about them. So I would see personalization is going to continue to be a drumbeat, and that's going to evolve what that looks like over time as well. I think self-service, as much as people can do that digitally, buyers are digital native more and more as that population keeps growing. They're used to working digitally, so even the simplest things they want to be able to self-service. And so we're continuously building self-service capabilities into the site for those simple things that are easy for them to do. And then supply chain, right? Everything is about do you have the item in stock and how fast can you get it to me? And so being able to have really good visibility and what that communication looks like will be key for all marketplaces. That's never going to go away. And it's always going to be an area of opportunity because it's pretty volatile sometimes. And communication is what's most important. Even if it's volatile, have you told them where everything is at and can you be proactive on status updates.
Got it. Okay, good. So Charles wants to know, he says, in my experience, many smaller suppliers struggle with things like item attribute,
Mm.
taxonomy, missing attributes, errors, or consistencies. Do you, do you support those suppliers, or do you say, hey, you're not ready yet? You need to go get that stuff taken care of?
So I would say product information, if there's one topic I talk about at every single event I'm at, it's
Yeah,
product information and
right,
trying to understand, like I'm always asking questions. Why is it so hard to have product information? Where is it coming from? How is everybody managing it? And it's a challenge for everybody. So where the start is can you at least do the basic transactional information? Because if you can't do that, it's hard to partner with us because we don't even have the basics. And then what are you doing to invest in adding to product information over time?
right.
Whether it's, gathering that information yourself, gathering it from your manufacturer partner, any of those things, right? People are getting creative on where that's coming from. We also know there are data aggregators in certain industries
Sure.
that are a big resource as well, and everybody pushes their data to those aggregators. And so then we sometimes will partner with the aggregators in a particular category to gather information, but it's all about where the market, has the information, how people get creative and invest some time and energy to capture it.
Great. Okay, good. Now I think I found the right page. You can tell me, this is where people go if they're interested in
Yes, that is it.
in okay, good. So if you want to sell on Zorro, go to zorro.com/sell dash on dash Zorro, right? And then there's some interesting questions in here that can help, I think, get the conversation started. And what do you wish that people knew that they don't know when it comes to selling on Zorro, Tracy?
Well, I wish first and foremost they don't think it's scary. That's kind of
Right,
the first
right,
thing.
right.
Don't be intimidated by it. I think our every time we talk to partners, they always talk about how collaborative we are.
Okay,
So we really want to start and benefit both of us. We want them to understand that we believe we're very different than others in the market. We very much try and be a partner. I talked multiple times today about being incremental to what they're doing. We're not trying to cannibalize their own
sure.
efforts. So I just want them to be open and then just understand all the things that we talked about today in order to be successful. We just need partners to be willing to invest some time and energy in things like digital product, things that will allow them to transact with us that are kind of table stakes in the space. But if you can do those things and you partner, then we've opened up a really big relationship here where we can be very collaborative, do new and different things together and learn, a lot from each other over time.
Fantastic. Okay, good. So, well, thanks very much. I am going to do one more promo. So please, if you're still on the call, please hold on. Hey, we have a new show called AI News and Gurus. It's co-hosted by Brian Hopkins and Brooks Hamilton. Brian works for us as our chief operations officer. Brooks is a AI guru that we have done that keynoted several of our conferences, and they have fascinating discussions with technology leaders. It's a virtual show. Please go to distributionstrategy.com to learn more about that. And we have state of distributor pricing and costing coming up on June 11th. Let's see. This one's brought to you by Epicor. So thanks Epicor for sponsoring that. But Tracy, wow, what a phenomenal discussion. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed
Thank
it.
you. Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Really enjoyed it.
Fantastic. Okay, everyone, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on our next event. And make sure you check out Zorro if you want to learn how to grow your online sales. Bye now.